in this lesson, we are going to build the contact me section. And it's a perfect time to learn the basics of form creation. All right. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right. So right here in Webflow, I'm going to select the body. So with the body selected, I'm going to add a section. Now I'm going to give it a class called section. And inside of the section, I'm going to add a container. Like so. Now that we have that, I'm just go ahead and copy this main title and then paste it inside of the container. Let's call this contacts container. Like so. And then I'll go ahead to copy this also. Right? And then I'll paste it inside of the contact container. Like so. Now let's rename this. Go ahead to Figma to copy the text. So right here, I'll copy this and paste it in here. I'll go ahead to copy the subtext as well. And then I'll paste it right here. It's still the same subtext, So I'm just going to change this to make this get a touch. Roll this one. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this and then change this. Okay, now we have our title and subtitle created. The next thing we want to do right here is to add our font. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to, let's go ahead to this plus icon. And then when you come down to where we have the form elements, you can see we have different elements that you can use to create font. We have the form block, we have the label, we have inputs, we have file upload, we have text area, checkboxes, everything you require to create a form. So in our case, I'm just going to bring in form block. All right, so I'm going to drag in a form block, put it below this and subtext. I'm going to take this out. And within our form, we can see we have what we call the field label. The field label is a description of what the input field is supposed to take. So for each form element, you can go into this place where you have this setting icon to apply some settings to it. So by default, we have name, okay, and the text right here says name. Of course, you can change this. Let's say, for instance, you want to get full name. You can change it right here, depending on what you require of your form. And then you can click this show all settings to open up the settings tab for you. And right there, you can see a bunch of settings you can apply to the field label. All right. Right here, you can set it to visible. We can set it to hidden. In our case, because we have in our design, we do not have the field label created. We just have a placeholder inside of the input field. Then we're going to make it hidden. So I'm going to click hidden. Okay, because we really don't need that. Before I go ahead to apply some other settings to the font elements, let me go right ahead to explain the different states of the font. So if you come right here to where we have the settings, you can see that on the states, we have three different types of states. We have the normal state for the form, which is this right now. We have the success state, which is when a visitor successfully filled out the form. We can also edit and apply some styling to this. Also, we get an error state that appears when the form is not filled out successfully. And of course, we can also apply styling to this. So right now, we go ahead to the normal state and apply our styles. To do that, I'm going to remove this a way to set it to hidden because we really don't need that. The next thing I want to do is put these two elements, that's the text field, inside a div. So I'm going to wrap it inside of the div. I'm going to select a div and I'm going to call this div opiates. input box, call it input box, and then inside of it, I'm going to put this also inside of the input box, like so. Let's be sure that it's inside of it. All right. Okay. So we have our contact, then we have our form block, and inside of our form block, we have the form, we have success message, we have error message, and inside of the form, we have the field label, which is set to 18, and right now we have an input box. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to make this input box display as flex. All right, I'm going to go ahead, select the text field and remove the padding and remove the margin. I'll go ahead and remove the margin for this as well, set it to 0. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to select the input box and I'm going to apply some gap. So let's go ahead to Figma to check the gap between these two input fields. Okay, we have the gap set to 20. And then we have a placeholder of male and female. So I'll go right ahead to add some gaps of 20 pixels to this. Right? Click into the box and apply some placeholder. I'll come right here and give this name, like so. And then I'm going to give this area. Now the next thing is I'm going to check for the styling. So right here we have the corner radius set to 12. And then we have the corner of the stroke copied. So right here I'm going to head over to the style tab and then give it a corner radius of 12, like so. And then I'm going to change the color of the stroke like this. And then I'm going to call this input field. I'm going to select this and then remove this class. And then give it a class of input field, like so. Now the next thing I want to do is check for the height of this input field and then the size of the placeholder. So right here, we have the height set to 56, and then we have this set to 16. So selecting this, I'm going to give it a minimum height of 56 pixels. And right here, let's check for the placeholder. Also to do that, I'm going to come right here to this drop-down icon and select placeholder. And inside of it, we can see that the placeholder is set to 14. And I think it's okay at that size. I'm just going to change the color to primary color. One more thing I want to do right here is to check for the padding. So right here, we have the left padding set to 24 pixels. Now I'm going to go right ahead and apply that. Change this back to none. And change this to 24. Like so. Now that we have this set, let's bring in our text area. So with the font selected, I'm going to type in text area. In our Figma design, we have our font area at the top. And then right here, we have a text that says regards underneath the input field. All right, so let's go ahead and adjust our font. I'm going to take this away first. But before I take this away, let's check for the placeholder. Right here we have this, write your messages. I'm copying this. And I'm going to paste it inside of this place. Now I'm going to come right here to the navigator and then move this to the top. With this selected, I'm going to call this text area. I'm going to select the placeholder and then change the color to black, like so. And I set this back to none. The next thing I want to do right here is to check the height of this card. So right here we have the height set to 204 pixels, and then we have the corner radius set to 12. And then I'm going to copy this color to apply it. So right here, I'm going to give it a minimum height of 244, give it a corner radius of 12, and then change the color from this to this. And just go right ahead and then increase the left padding of this text area to 24. And then I can increase the top padding as well to, let's check for the top padding. We have it set to 32. I'm going to leave it as 24. So right here, I'm going to set this to 24 as well. All right, now that we have that, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to select the form elements and then give it a top margin. All right, so let's go ahead and check the top margin in Figma. We have the top margin set to 61. We'll go right here and give this 61. And then the next thing I want to do right here now is to give this a bottom margin as well. So let's go ahead and check the bottom margin for the text area. We have it set to 24. So right here, I'm going to give it a bottom margin 24. Like so. The next thing I want to do is add the regard text above this input field. To do that, I'm going to select the form element. Let's call this form. Let's call this contact form. And now I'm going to add in a text block. Now we're going to move this right to the top. I'm going to change this to regards. And then let's check for the margin, the bottom margin of this regard. We have it set to 16. So right here, I'm going to give it a bottom margin of 16. And then I'm going to give this paragraph 16. Like so. Let's check for the font weight. Okay, this is set to 20 and bold. So right here, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to give it a font size of 20. Set it to bold. And then give it a primary color. I think I'd like to reduce the weight because it looks too thick. Again, this is fine. Now that we have that, let's call this guide solid pixel. And then I'm going to give this a bottom margin of 16. So let's give this input box and the button some gap. So let's check the gap between these two elements. Right here we have the gap set to 61. Go right ahead and give this a bottom margin of 61. Like so. Now I'm going to style this button. So do this, I'm going to select this button and then let's check the styling pigment. Right here we have the label as send message and then we have the color to be a primary color. Also we have the corner radius of 12 and that's pretty much it. So right here, let's change the label to send message. Give it a corner radius of 12. And then we can change the background color to a primary color. Next thing I want to do is check for the size of this button. We have it set to 14 extra bold. I'll change this to primary button. For the text, set to 14 already, and then we can give this extra bold, but we don't have extra bold here, so I'm going to give it bold. Then the next thing I want to do is check for the height. Well, right here, we have it set to 48. I'm just going to go ahead and ensure this has a minimum height of 48. And then I'm going to reduce this as well to 48 or 4. It's good we keep it consistent, right? So yeah, that looks better. And so the next step is we want this button to span the entire width of this contact form. And to do that, I'm going to select the contact form and then I'm going to display it as flex. And then I'm going to make the direction vertical, like so. Let's make this photo 40 to see how that looks. We have our contact form created. Let's go ahead to preview that. And now if we click this, we can see the blue outline that shows that this is a focal state, right? And then we have this small cheat that said, just fill out this field. Of course, we can go right ahead to change this if we want to. But first, let's change the color of this outline. So I'll go right ahead and select this. And then from this drop-down icon, we're going to select focused. And then in the focus state, we want to give it primary color in the focus state. Same for the input field as well. So for the input field, I'm going to select this icon as well. Click focused and then change the border area to a primary color, like so. And now when it's all focused, we can see the color now changes to the primary color we've been using. Same for this and same for this as well. Right now that we have that created, the visitor can go in and then type in something like so. Type in their name, email, and send. Well, right here you can see this error message that says include ads in an email, blah, blah, blah. That's because in the form settings, the input field type is set to email. Right here, so if we come inside of this, we click right here, we can see that the type is set to email. And then the type for this is set to plain. All right, so we can click this drop down and choose the type of information we want to get from the visitor. Okay, so this right here is set to plain. We just want the plain text, and this is set to email. So in the case where someone inputs something that doesn't look like an email, it throws an error. All right. Now, that being said, one thing I noticed is that when I type in, we have this message in a gray-like color and it's not visible. So let's correct that. To do that, I'll head back to the editing mode and then I'm going to click in text, click on focus, and then I'm going to change the typography with this to a primary color. And now we'll go to preview mode. And then user types in something. We can see now that the contrast is better. All right. So now I'll go back to the editing mode and make that changes for this as well. Change this back to none. Then I'm going to select the input field, go into the focus mode, and then change the typography to a primary color. Now we have that set to a primary color, and we'll go right into it and then type something. Yeah, we can see that that is looking very visible now. We've learned the basis of form creation, how you can create a form, edit a form, style a form, and style the button. I hope that you're able to apply all of this learning into your project. And that'll be the end of this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to make this section responsive. All right? So I'll see you there. Bye. Let's make the content section responsive. To do that, I'm going to go ahead to select the tablet breakpoint. And then right here on tablet, we can see that our section is scaled down already. And then in the mobile landscape, we can see this is looking okay. But one thing we can do is reduce the gap between the button and the input field. So I'm going to select this and then reduce this from 61 to say 40. We can also reduce this bottom margin from 24 to say 16. So if I head over to mobile portrait, I'll change the direction to start, and that's it. And then I can reduce this to 16 on mobile portrait. Right, so and that's it, guys. We just made our content section responsive across the different breakpoints that is available: desktop, tablet, mobile landscape, and mobile portrait. All right, and that's about it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to apply some cool and simple hover effect to this primary button. I'll see you there. We want to add a cool and simple hover effect to this send message button. To do that, I'll go ahead and make this button first. And then I'm going to click this button, and then right here, I'm going to select hover. And hover, we want to change the background color from this to this. Let's go ahead and change this to none, and then add a transition to this. So I'm going to select the plus icon. Then I'm going to select the type as background color. Then I'm going to change the duration to 300 milliseconds. And then the async to async mode. And now when I hover on it, we can see that cool effect. Very minimal and cool. And that's about it for this lesson, guys. In the next lesson, we're going to create our footer section. I'll see you there. Bye. Let's create this footer in Webflow. To do this, I'm going to create a section. Then I'm going to add a container. And inside of the container, I'm going to put in a text block to hold this message. And then I'm going to put in a div to hold up these buttons. And then I'm going to create this also. And then put in the arrow. All right. So this is a div holding up an arrow. We're going to style this div as well. So let's just go into it and create this house. So right here, I'm in Webflow. I'm going to go ahead to select the body. And then inside of the body, I'm going to put in a section. Inside of the section, let's call this section. Inside of the section, I'm going to put in a container. Then I'll call this, let's call this the talk container. Like so. And right here, I'm going to put in the D. Let's call it social links. The social button. All right, and inside of it, I'm going to put in the text block. And then I'm going to copy the text. This is set to 20 bold. So I'm going to paste that right here. And then give this above 20, like so. Now that we have this, I'm going to now create another div. So I'll select the social button, add another div. All right, now I'm going to call this social box. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy the buttons from the hero section because we already created it, all right? So I'm just going to copy this one and then go right inside of a footer and paste that right here. Now I'm going to select the social button link, duplicate it 2 more times, like so. Now I'll select the social button box and then display as flex, like so. And now I'm going to give it a gap up. Let's check the gap. So we have the gaps set to 20. Give it a gap of 20. Now the next thing I want to do is change the icon because if you look at the icons of Figma, they are plain black and white. So I'm going to change that to plain black and white. And then I'm making the first, then BS, next, then media comes last. I'm just going to make this, change this to a dark color, like so. And now I'm going to make this also of black and white BS column. And then the last one is going to be a medium, dark and white. All right. The next thing we want to do inside of this social button is to create our scroll to the top button. To do that, I'm going to put in a D and then set this to 96 width and height. Give it a corner radius of 16 and then padding is 24. All right. So let's go right ahead to do that. So inside of our social button, we're going to put in another div. Call this top scroll. And then we're going to give this a background of primary color. Let's give this 96 with an height. Let's give it a corner radius of 16. Let's give it padding round of 4. Now the next thing I want to do is to drag in our arrow and put it inside of the drag in our arrow and put it inside of top scroll better. Right. And then we can call this arrow top. And now what I'm going to do is select the social buttons and make it display as flags. Okay, this is inside the social button, but it's supposed to be inside of the footer container. So now I'm going to change the position of that social icon. First, I'm going to case this up and select the footer, go inside of the footer, social buttons, and then I'm going to bring this out to stay inside of the footer. Like so. Now I'm going to select the footer container and make it display as flags. Cool. Now that we have this, I'm going to select these social buttons and then I'm going to change the sizing from shrink if needed to grow if possible, such that it takes up the remaining space within the footer container. Now that we have that, I want to ensure that these social boxes align to the bottom. Now to do that, I'm going to make this display as flags. And then I'm going to change the direction to vertical. And now I'm going to make this space between, all right? The next thing we want to start right now is this top scroll, because if you look at the button in Figma, see that we have some slight shadow, that's a subtle shadow behind this. And now I'm going to select this to look at what shadow settings we need to set. So right here, we have the x-axis set to 8. We have the y set to 12 pixels. Then we have a blur of 48 and a color of 25%. So I'll go ahead to where we have the box shadow. I'll click this plus icon. And then I'm going to set the x-axis to 8 pixels. Set the y-axis to 12 pixels. Set the blur to 48. Like so. Now I'm going to change the black color to 25%. Like so. The last thing for this section right now is to apply a background color. Because if you look at the Figma design, you can see that there is a salty gray background in the footer section. So I'm going to copy this color. Now I'm going to go to where we have the background. But before I do that, I'm going to add a combo class. I'm going to call this footer background. Then I'm going to apply the color right here, like so that it affects only the footer. And that's it, guys. If we go ahead to preview this, you can see how our footer looks. Let's make this display on the button 40 breakpoint. You can see how it looks. And then if we make this display on 1920 pixel point, we can see how that option looks right at the center, right? So that's about it, guys. We created the footer section. In the next lesson, we'll make the footer section responsive. I'll see you there. Bye. We want to make the footer section responsive. Now to do that, I'm going to head over to the tablet breakpoint right here, and let me scroll down. Pretty good. Really, there's really nothing to change here. It looks fine. Let's head over to the mobile landscape. And right here, we have the buttons aligned well, but the top scroll is really big. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it aligned with the height of the button. So right here, the button is set to 48 pixel height. So let's make this 48 by 48. I'm going to change this to 48 and by 48. like so. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the padding around it. So I'm going to make this 8, like so. And now we have the button aligned to the center. So now let's head on to mobile portrait. And right on mobile portrait, we can see that the buttons overflow outside of the viewport. Now, to make this scaled responsively, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the social button, and then I'm going to give it a combo class of, let's call this on mobile, like so. What I'm going to do next is select all the buttons and give them on mobile combo class, like so. Select the last one and then give it a combo class of on mobile. All right, now that we have that set, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the social box and then make it display vertically, like so. Now that we have that, let's select the footer container as well and then make it display vertically as well. Let's select this social button and then give it a padding top and bottom of 10. All right, I'm going to make it align to the left. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the social box, like so. And then I'm going to give it a bottom margin. So let's call this bottom margin underscore 20 pixels. So I'm going to give it a bottom margin of 20 pixels. All right, so I'll select this and then give it a bottom margin of 20 pixels. Now that we have this, let's make our icons span across the width of the mobile portrait as well, just like this, right? So checking the gap between the button and this right here is 40. So let's go ahead to apply 40. Right here, instead of 20 pixels, I'm going to make it 40. And then I'm going to change this to 40 pixels, right? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this top scroll or 2. I'm going to make it MEBS. I'm going to make it stretch, like so. And then I'm going to select the child elements and then make it roll if possible. Now we have our top scroll button centered. The next thing I want to do is check for the height. So right here we have the height set to 48, which is fine. And then we have the radius set to 16. Over here, I'm going to select the top scroll and then increase the weight to 16, like so. And that's it, guys. We've just made our footer section responsive. Now, if we check the fluidity, we can see how responsive it is. And then if we head on to mobile landscape, we can see how it's rendered right here on mobile landscape. And then on tablet, it looks just the same way it is on desktop. And that's it, guys. We've made our footer section responsive. In the next lesson, we're going to add an over effect to this icon. Let's add some over effects to this top scroll button such that when you hover, it transforms a little bit to the top. Now to do that, I'm going to go ahead to select mobile right here. And then on mobile, we want to add a transform effect. So I'll select transform and then we want it to move by y-axis of -10. Like so, so it moves a little bit to the top. Okay, I think that's too much. Let's make it 8. All right, and that's fine. So let's go ahead and test that out. Right, so I'm going to go ahead right here and change this back to none, like so, and then head over to preview. And then when we overlay, we can see how it's transforming to the top a little bit, but right now it's just going up and down without no smooth transitioning. So let's add a smooth transition to that. So I'll go ahead to transition, select the plus icon, and then now I want to have transition to transform. And now let's select the duration to 300 milliseconds. and select the ease out word. And so now let's close this and then go back to preview. And now when we hover on it, we can see how smoothly it molds up and down, just like so. All right. Now, one thing we want to do is that when we click on this, we want it to scroll back to the top of this page. That is, we want it to scroll down to the home page right here. So to do that, I'm going to go back right here into the editor mode. And one thing I want to do is we're going to select this snap bar, and then I'm going to go ahead and give it an ID. Let's give it an ID nav bar, like so. And then next thing I want to do is I'm going to select this right now. Currently it's just a block, so we're going to have to make it a link first. To do that, I'm going to select this, and I'm going to convert it into a link block. Now it's a link block. Inside of it, I'm going to click the settings, and I want this to scroll back to the top. I want to scroll to a page section. And then I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to choose nav bar. All right. Now that we have that set, let's go ahead and try that out. So right here in the preview, if I click on this, it takes us back to the top. Awesome. And that's it, guys. Let's try it one more time. Let's go on that, and it then brings us back to the top. That's it for this video, guys. We've just add an hover effect to the top scroll button and then made it scroll to the top. The next lesson, we're going to create a page animation. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.